The year is 1997. I come from a long line of doctors, physicians of all sorts. My grandfather was a doctor. My father was a doctor. Not surprising to anyone, I'm finishing med school this year. My father passed away recently, leaving me with my mother. My father was Filipino and my mother is Italian-Australian. The last time I visited Philippines I was 5 years old, and I only stayed in Manila, where my father went to take care of things in the province. When my father passed away, he left me the ancestral home in the Philippines. This will be the second time I will visit the country, and my first time visiting my father's province. I took a semester off to take care of things and be there for my mother. I already booked my ticket. Unfortunately, my mom couldn't come with me because of our business. No problem. I enjoy traveling. After all, I am Andrew Sanchez III, proud descendant of a long line of heroes. A small trip is nothing I can't handle. All my bags are packed and I'm ready to go. Heading to the airport now in traffic as usual. I can't believe the airport has them nowadays. Oh well, at least I don't have to take off my shoes. The plane is big, lots of empty seats. I guess not a lot of people are traveling the Philippines at this time. I will have to get used to the weather in the Philippines. Ah, there's my seat. Perfect seat next to the window. As the plane doors closed, the stewardess approached and asked if I could switch to the emergency door. I stretched my neck up to peek at who was sitting by the emergency door, and it was an old lady. I can't imagine her trying to open the hatch while panicking. I said, why not? I don't mind switching seats. I'm still by a window. Well, half of a window, and more legroom. It's definitely beneficial to have more legroom during a long flight. Whew, 20 hours. Direct flight to Manila. The flight was uneventful. I slept, watched movies, and ate very bland airline food, seated next to a guy who spent most of the flight drinking whiskey. And when he wasn't drinking, he was snoring. I guess you gotta do what you gotta do to pass 20 hours. I arrived in Manila around 4 p.m. I figured it was a bit late, but I really have to get to City Hall, and in order for that to happen, I need another flight. I transferred to a local flight, and finally on a bus ride heading to the ancestral home. The bus ride wasn't that long, around 40 minutes. Finally, I arrived in a semi-secluded area where the houses were very far apart, but you need a car to visit your neighbor. In front of me is a small path, surrounded by trees and grass. It's like a setting of a horror movie, where something would make noises from behind the trees and jump out of a bush. It's getting very dark. There was no light post. The air is crisp and fresh. It wasn't like the big cities. It even smelled different. I kept on walking. Plenty of trees everywhere. As I was walking, I come across something that looked like a doll. I approached it, since it was unusual for anyone to leave a toy in a secluded area. I picked it up and dusted it off. It looked new. I recognized it. My grandmother used to have one similar. It was the image of the Santo Niño. Why would anyone leave this here, I thought. My grandmother would love this if I bring it back for her. Although my family comes from a long line of physicians, I was always taught that I should never disrespect anyone's belief, that life is precious and it's a gift of God. Death is God's way of calling us back. So I kept it, and I continued walking. It's getting very dark now, and I had to use my phone as a flashlight. After a few minutes of walking, this big house appeared. It looked very old, but sturdy and beautiful. It had an old Spanish style. I couldn't help but appreciate the artistry in the place. The sculpting was on point. The caretaker of the house came out and introduced himself. His name is Ben. I greeted Ben and introduced myself. He asked if I needed any help with my bags. He helped me settle into my room and mentioned that supper was ready. He also took the liberty of stocking up the refrigerator to make sure I had food to eat during my stay. Of course, I was very appreciative of the gesture. It's rare to find someone very caring and very loyal to the family. He was an orphan child when my great-grandfather took him in, and ever since then, he has cared for the family. He is in charge of making sure the house is clean, the grass stays low, and making sure that there are no trespassers on the property. It's very rare to find someone like that. I admire what he has done for the family. Ben and I were talking, and I showed him the porcelain Santo Niño I found. His face became pale, and he said that I should be careful picking up things from the ground, especially religious relics. I laughed and I said, I don't really believe in supernatural stuff. I prefer science. I kept the doll and placed it on top of the dresser. I walked around the house. There are so many antique vases, furniture, things that would be considered a lot of value in today's world. I decided to call my mom to let her know that I arrived safely and that I am doing well. I know she's still going to worry, but hopefully my voice will help her ease up. I tried to assure her that I will be extra careful. She asked what I was going to do. I wanted to look back on my ancestors, on my father's side, and learn how they lived, their personalities. I wanted to get to know my father's side of the family. She said to be careful, and I again reassured her that I am being careful. It's getting very late. Dinner was amazing. I bid Ben farewell. I was surprised to learn that Ben doesn't actually stay in the property. He has his own place away from the ancestral home. He said that it was convenient for him to pass by the market before heading to the property. 10 p.m. I was alone. Ben's last words to me were, do not go outside when it's dark. There are bad things that you don't understand. I don't know what he meant by that, but just a precaution. I am not going out. It's 10 p.m. and I don't know anybody here, so I prefer to stay in. I locked the door and windows and I made a pit stop to the refrigerator. Instead, I found a 40-year-old wine. So I took it to my room and I read some articles online and watched some videos while drinking the wine. Eventually, sleep found me. So I laid my head on the pillow. Surprisingly, the bed was very comfortable, and I drifted off to sleep. In my sleep, I had a dream. It was dark. I was inside the ancestral home. There was a knock on the door. I looked through the window to see who it was, but there was nobody outside. I walked away, but there was a knock again. So I opened the door slightly and looked around, but there was nobody there. When I looked down, I saw the Santo Niño. I said, why are you out here? You should be inside where it's safe. I picked up the Santo Niño and returned it on top of the dresser. As I turned away, there was another knock on the door. I thought it was Ben. But what would he be doing here when it's pitch black outside? He was the one who told me that I shouldn't go out at night because it's dangerous. I looked through the window again, but there was no one there. My heart starts pounding, and I felt an all too familiar shiver that I only get from watching horror movies. My family used to watch horror movies with me as a child, and I would get nightmares. I hated it. When I turned around to go back to my room, there was a knock on the window. I thought someone left the door and went to the window to see if I'm awake. I pulled the curtain aside to see. I couldn't see anything. It was still too dark outside. As soon as I was about to let go of the curtain, a face appeared in the window. It was looking at me. I was frozen because the face was all black. Its body was all black. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. Its eyes were staring back at me. Its eyes were screaming hunger. I let go of the curtain. I almost fell back, hitting a chair behind me. My heart was beating so fast. I backed up and grabbed the nearest thing to me to use it as a weapon. I grabbed the vase. I opened the curtain again to see if the person was there. There was nobody there. Could it have been my imagination? It's dark outside. It could have been my reflection off of the glass from the window. No, it couldn't be my reflection. Those eyes, they didn't seem human. I waited a few moments to see if whoever that was would knock again, but nothing. Complete silence. I went back to my room and sat on the edge of my bed. It's been a long night. I should get some rest. I laid my head down and closed my eyes until I felt hands on my neck. I couldn't move. It felt like I was being held down by someone or something. I opened my eyes. It was very dark. I felt hands on my wrists and feet. I felt something heavy on my chest. It was getting harder and harder to breathe. I closed my eyes for a brief moment to calm myself down. When I opened my eyes, there it was. The thing outside was sitting on my chest. It was looking at me directly and smiling. It was smiling. Its eyes were black as night. I woke up sweating, shivering, and afraid. What the hell was that dream all about? It's 5 a.m. The roosters are crowing, but I can't help it. I was afraid. I was afraid of that dream. I sat on the edge of my bed and put my hands on my face, trying to shake off the feeling I have. I took a deep breath and headed to the bathroom to brush my teeth and wash my face. As I was looking for clothes to wear, I looked at my dresser. The Santo Niño wasn't there.